Thakur ki
Jai.
Jai. So we're going to spend a little bit of time, and I'll try to go through it quickly because what's the cutoff time? It's right now 20 after.
6:10.
Huh?
6:10.
6:10. Piece of cake. I'll try to do it. Probably take a little longer. So here's his appearance date. Now you're going to see 3 different dates because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur made an estimate approximately 1638. And then there's this system, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Index by ISKCON. He appeared 1664, which is pretty close. And the same, they always say the same, it's a district of Nadia, just like Mahaprabhu appeared in the district of Nadia, but it's a different village, Devagram. And others had a little bit later, 1662. So they're not really sure exactly the year, but they know the place. And he was born in a family of Brahmanas, the Radhi Brahmana sect. Gives his brothers, Ramabhadra and Raghunath Chakravarti, so their family of 3 boys, sons of Brahmanas. And his father is listed as Ram Narayan Chakravarti. His mother's name is unknown. So born in a Brahmin family, and little Brahmin boys do what little Brahmin boys do. They go to school. And when he went to school, it was in the same district. He studied Vyakarana, Sanskrit grammar, in that same village. Now here's a very interesting thing. After he did his Vyakarana study, he did his little Upanayana ceremony. And then he started studying Bhakti Shastras at home, at the home of his guru. Listen to this. It was in this place he wrote 3 books when he was 16. What were you doing when you were 16? I know what I was doing when I was 16. Well, here's what he was doing when he was 16. 3 books. A commentary on Rupa. He liked Rupa Goswami from a young age. He was more than liked. He wrote a commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And then the graduate study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Ujjvala Nilamani, he wrote a commentary on that one. And then he wrote a commentary on Bhagavatamrita Kana. Bhagavatamrita refers to Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Some of you, there's 2, Brihat and Laghu Bhagavatamrita. But Laghu Bhagavatamrita is a book by Rupa Goswami. So now picture this, a 16-year-old young man. I understand there's some college youth here in this assembly. 16 years old, he wrote 3 commentaries. Think about it. I mean, to read them takes time. What to speak of like commentary? And I know the title of Ujjvala Nilamani, but I have not read it. It's very elevated, very, very elevated. And it lasted for his whole life, and it's still a standard commentary on Ujjvala Nilamani. And Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu translated the book, and it's that thick. And he wrote a commentary on all the verses. It's a study, it's Rupa Goswami's summary of chapter 3 of Canto 1 Bhagavatam, the avatars of Vishnu. That's all it is, avatars of Vishnu, and a whole commentary on it. I mean, I'm breathless. Maybe I should just stop there. He's a luminary from teenager. Even today, the following proverb is quite famous amongst the Vaishnavas regarding these three books. Here's the statement. Vishwanath resume of Rupa Goswami's Ujjvala Leelamani, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Laghu Bhagavatamrita are the source of transcendental joy for the Vaishnavas. Studying them makes one a Vaishnava. So he's a Vaishnava of Vaishnavas. That's a good introduction, yeah? Is there anything we're going to say after that? We're looking up because he is that kind of a personality. When he wrote these commentaries and other things that he did when he was a teenager, he went by the name Harivallabha Das. He wrote Bengali songs under that name because he was Bengali. Some people say that this name was given to him when he took Vairagya Vesh. He became a renunciate because as a young man, young Brahmin boy, his parents got him married, and he didn't last too long. After the disappearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the associates of Mahaprabhu, the current of Shuddha Bhakti was flowing by the influence of three great personalities, Srinivasacharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and Shyamananda. So here's the history. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa and Sanatan, Jiva Goswami became the disciple of Rupa Goswami, and Jiva Goswami then trained these three. So the flow of disciplic succession wasn't broken, it continued until Narottam Das Thakur became not his disciple, but in the line of Narottam Das Thakur. So those of you that like reading Prabhupada's books, you know this list of disciplic succession. This is partial list. Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur's name comes right after Narottam Das Thakur. Yes? Yes. But there are three generations in between. I'll show you the list in just a moment. Because this list that appears in Bhagavad Gita and many other places is Bhaktisiddhanta made a list of the prominent members of our disciplic succession, meaning in between Narottam and Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur, there were a few others, but not as profuse in their writings and their teachings and their presence. So here's the in-between part. Vishwanath, just see his name at the bottom. And in between Narottam Das Thakur and Vishwanath, there's three others. So the actual Diksha, or receiving Gayatri mantra, was from Radharaman, who was the disciple of Krishna Charana, who was the disciple of Ganga Narayana, who was the disciple of Narottam. In case you wanted to know. That's the detail. And here's a little bit. There's Narottam. This I don't think I'm going to spend time with, unless you're interested. Vishwanath's name is at the bottom, towards a little bit to the left, but a little toward the bottom. And then there's names of persons who were this Krishna Charana. He was a disciple and adopted son of Ganga Narayan Chakravarti. And there's details because this history, if you like the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, I do. Vishnu Priya was a very celebrated Vaishnavi. And she was the wife of Ganga Narayan Chakravarti. They had a daughter, Krishna Priya. Krishna Priya became known as Radhakund Thakurani. She's a very celebrated personality. Krishna Priya. She was constantly chanting. There's many, many nice stories about her. But she was their daughter. And he had a disciple who was an adopted son, Krishna Charana, and his disciple. And you see over to the right side, there's Rupa Kaviraj. that he was a disciple of Krishna Charana, as was the guru of Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur, but Rupa Kaviraj kind of went off the rails. You'll hear the bad news in a short while. But he was very, very learned, and sometimes very learned people aren't so humble. And that was his trait. He was a little proud. So he started concocting things out of his scholarship. And he got bounced by the Vaishnava community. So he received mantra initiation from Krishna Charana Chakravarti. He became a resident in a certain place, Shayadabada, and he set up a Sanskrit school, and he became a teacher, became a grahastha. And he wrote a little, he did something that Jiva Goswami did. A predecessor of him was Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami wrote a Sanskrit grammar text that followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's text. You know what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did? I don't know Sanskrit grammar, but I know people that studied. And there's these rules and 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 rules, and you drill the rules until it's like it's in. And then you look at things through those rules. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was teaching grammar, and then when he took initiation, he started teaching all the rules according to names of Hari, Harinama, Vyakarana. And his students rebelled. What are you doing? All you want to do is say names of Hari. What's going on? What about Vedanta Sutra and all those nice things? They were offensive. That's why he accepted sannyas. I mean, he was externally one of the reasons he stopped becoming a school teacher. Jiva Goswami took that text and wrote it down and published it. And it's taught in our Sanskrit schools in Vrindavan. Jiva Goswami's text, Harinama Vyakarana, to teach the children in our gurukuls Sanskrit. So some generations later, Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur, following the footsteps of Jiva Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he does something similar. To help his students easily learn Sanskrit, he wrote a simplified commentary to explain everything about Sanskrit. He was such a scholar at a young age. He wrote in this book, Sri Viswanatha Cakravarti, a Brahmana residing at Shayadabada, has composed this commentary on the Alankara Kastuba. So it's not just grammar, but it's of composition. You know how to use Sanskrit to make literary ornaments to make nice composition. He's teaching this when he's like a young fellow. What to speak of his writing later on? I mean, I guess you get the idea. I have a high regard for Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur, so it's hard for me to speak short about somebody I have such admiration for. He was an undefeatable scholar. He remained married for a short time. He renounced his wife and went to Vrindavan. And he was determined to renounce worldly life and surrender himself completely to the service of Krishna. Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur. So later on, some of his contributions, you know what it is. Historically, there was an event. The event was that there was a Muslim ruler that was really nasty. He lived down the way from Vrindavan, and there was fear that he was a notorious reputation for attacking temples and breaking deities. So they took the deities. So King of Jaipur took the deities and protected them in a little, there's a whole long, wonderful narration of how it happened in different stages and steps they went to Jaipur. So the history of Jaipur is the king of Jaipur traditionally had given support to the Ramanadis. Who are the Ramanadis? The Ramanadis are a group of Ramanujacharya followers that had a differentiation. They split. The Ramanujacharya Sampradaya split into two. And there was a group that went north, and they lived near Jaipur. They were supported by the king in a different city than Jaipur, but he was like maintaining them for generations. So it was a good setup for the worshippers of Lord Ramachandra. And then something happened. What happened was the next king, King Jai Singh, he liked Govinda. So he liked Govinda so much, he put the temple, the deity, in his courtyard, the king's courtyard. Today, if you go to see Govindaji, you go to the king's courtyard, and there's thousands of people. And so the Ramanadis got a little competitive. Wait a minute. You're worshiping, your ancestors are worshiping Ramachandra, now you're worshiping Radha Govinda? Conflict, right? So the conflict came to the point where they, the Ramanadis, challenged the king. This thing's wrong, that thing's wrong, the other thing's wrong. One, these worshippers of Radha Govinda, they don't even have a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, because the Gaudiyas didn't have a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, because there was already a commentary on Vedanta Sutra by the author of Vedanta Sutra, Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the commentary. They had commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, but not commentaries on Vedanta Sutra. So it was like a standing thing, traditional thing. If you don't have a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, you have no standing. Strict. Number two, they're questioning the validity of the very sampradaya, because Madhvacharya has a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. These fellows, they claim to be of his sampradaya, but they don't follow his commentary. Because look at this. They worship Radha along with Krishna. In the followers of Madhvacharya, do they worship Radha along with Krishna? No. Udupi Krishna. Is Radha by the side of Udupi Krishna? No. And all the other forms of Vishnu. My voice is going up. I'm a little excited here. They challenge them. Who ever heard of worship of Radha anyways? It's bogus. We challenge them. So, challenging the king, because you brought the deity into your palace, into the courtyard of your palace. So what did the king do? Viswanatha, help. He was in Vrindavan. By that time, he's very old. But Viswanath had trained Baladev Vidyabhusan to the max. And he gave him specific instructions how to respond to these challenges. And Viswanath, having trained Baladev, sent him to Jaipur to answer the challenges. And then, the result was Baladev wrote the commentary based upon the teachings he received from Viswanath and how to write a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. He called it Govindabhasya because, as the narration goes, Govindaji dictated to him and he wrote it down. And the inside story is, or a backstory is, Viswanath already trained him. That's the reality. And Govindaji spoke to him as well, so that's also reality. So in Baladev's commentary, he gives very specific teachings about where the worship of Radharani is mentioned in the Vedas. It's in the Vedanta Sutra commentary. It's in Puranas, and it's in the Shruti mantras also. In several places in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and specifically in the 10th canto, the Radha is mentioned in a very concealed manner. Only Rasika and Bhavuka, or very advanced spiritual personalities, are able to understand how all this fits together. And so Baladev, wrote the commentary based upon the teachings given to him by Govinda and by Vishwanath. And in a short time, in a very short time, forget the number of days, like some short number of days, he completed the commentary. You can't do that. That's not human. And then it was given to the king. The king gave it to the Ramanadis. They looked it over and we couldn't find any fault in it, including the explanation of Radharani being worshipped by the side of Govinda. And so they backed off. They went back to worshiping Ramachandra and Sita Ram and Lakshman and Hanuman. And Jaipur king has got Radha Govinda in his courtyard. Then this other Rupa Kaviraj person, remember that chart? A little off to the right. So he was very, very learned. Here's a little bit of his background. It's connected to Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur. So they were contemporaries. So he was, the term for what he became was, he has too much learning. Atibadi. So much learning that he was too proud. And with his too much learning that made him so proud, he started deviating. He studied under one of the greatest Bhagavatam scholars of his time. Mukunda Das was his name. And then he started creating his own concocted ideas. There's a few of his concocted ideas. Here's one. He dressed his intimate followers in dress of gopis, Saki Beki, saying that they were in practice to be situated in their Siddha Deha, their spiritual form, so they could be ready as they became spiritually elevated to enter directly in this very same body in Krishna's Rasa Leela with the gopis. Sounds like a deviation, right? It was a deviation. And he was against, he spoke and wrote, and he was a scholar with his explanations why that Tulsi should not be worshipped along with Shalagram, or Tulsi should not be placed on Shalagram. The worship should not go together. And they shouldn't observe Ekadasi because the gopis didn't. That was part of his scholarship. So they went to Vishwanath help. And sure enough, he argued against his teaching publicly and in his own Bhagavatam commentary specifically. He addresses this deviated teaching in his commentary on the 3rd canto of the Bhagavatam. Now, his commentary on the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam, because his infidelity with the previous acharyas, so he was just drawing, Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur was drawing from Jiva Goswami's writings. Jiva Goswami's writings are drawn from Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami's teachings are coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's just a cyclic succession. It's not something novel. But he was so scholarly and he understood the nuances between this and that. And the nuance, please understand this. The nuance has everything to do with rasa. I'll just back up a little bit. One of Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur's books was a book on 2 verses from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Remember when he's 16, he wrote a commentary on the whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. When he was mature, he wrote a whole book on 2 verses. And those 2 verses, from Rupa Goswami's writings, a description of bhakti, the 9 stages of bhakti. The title of the book was Madhurya Kandambani. And in classic form, he has Mangalacharana. Some of you have read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Some of you have not. Some of you that haven't, someday please read it. And it describes the elements that are involved in it. Mangala Charana, all classic compositions open with Mangala Charana, just like our day begins with Mangala Arti. So a book begins with Mangala Charana. So he had 2 Mangala Charanas. One was glorification of Lord Chaitanya, and the other was glorification of Rupa Goswami. I like this very much. So he writes in glorification, Mangala Charana, glorifying Rupa Goswami. He writes that many acharyas in the past have glorified the personality of Godhead, but none have done what Rupa Goswami has done. Because Rupa Goswami has explained, based upon the Upanishads, that the personality of Godhead is rasa, and when he appears, everything to understand the essence of Krishna, one has to understand the essence of rasa. And Rupa Goswami has explained the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that light. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And he, Viswanath, was a Rasika Bhakta. He was a follower of Rupa Goswami from a teenager. And his writing is filled with rasa. It's really nice. And he reveals truths that everyone else says, but then he says a deeper something, because the deeper something is about rasa. So many mysteries. There are many mysteries in Srimad Bhagavatam that have answers to the mystery in terms of rasa. And a really good person to explain those mysteries in terms of rasa is Viswanath. Read his commentaries, and they're amazing. I like Viswanath. He's a very special personality. The daughter of Srinivasacharya, so you remember, those of you that are a little bit newer, this line of disciplic succession goes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa and Sanatan, Jiva Goswami, and then these 3, Srinivas, Shamananda, and Narottam. And Vishwanath was in the line of Narottam, but elder to him, the daughter of Srinivasacharya, her name was Hemalata Thakurani, and after the deviated Rupa Kaviraj was smashed by Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur's arguing, she ripped off his neck beads and tossed him out of the Vaishnava community. Vote first. She is a strong lady, Hemalata Thakurani. There's a very nice description. I'll try to keep it simple. There's a passage, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Where did he learn all about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Answer, from Raghunath Das Goswami, whose appearance day is today. So Raghunath Das Goswami, we'll glorify him a little bit, he lived with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 16 years in Vrindavan, in Puri. And he was put in the care of Srup Damodar, who is Lalita Devi in Krishna's Leela, and Lalita knows Radharani like the back of her hand. So she, or he, Swarup Damodar explained everything about the inner mood and the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Swarup Damodar, trained Raghunath Das Goswami, who then came to Vrindavan and was ordered by by Rupa Goswami to spend 3 to 4 hours every day, 3 to 4 hours every day for 45 years. 3 to 4 hours every day for 45 years. I mean, we just have this kirtan thing going on every day for 45 years, just describing pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the teachings of Mahaprabhu. And his number one student was Krishnadas Kaviraj. Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote everything that he heard again and again and again and again and again from Raghunath Das. So one of those things that he heard was this description of Gayatri mantra. There's a particular Gayatri that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave that we also receive in our disciplic succession. It's called Kama Gayatri, and it doesn't give the words of the Kama Gayatri, but it gives this description. And it's written in Krishnadas Kaviraj's words. The Kama Gayatri mantra is identical with Sri Krishna. In this king of mantras, there are 24 and a half syllables, and each syllable is a full moon. The aggregate of moons has caused the moon of Sri Krishna to rise and fill the three worlds with prema. So Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote that about Kama Gayatri. And, Viswanatha is a scholar in Sanskrit. He never heard such thing as a half a syllable. There's no such thing from the training that he received. And he was an up there scholar. Then there's this explanation of where the half a syllable comes from, right in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I'm not going to read all this. You can go in. What happened was, because Krishnadas Kaviraj trained Vishwanath, and Vishwanath looked up to Krishnadas Kaviraj, and it's not possible that he could have made a mistake. But there's no such thing. And he wrote something, there's no such thing. So he was more than puzzled just to get some idea. What happened is he decided, since my disqualification is I can't understand this half a syllable thing, what's the use of my life? He decided to sit by the side of Radha Kund and fast until death. And he was serious. It was like he's in a very firm, convinced man, sadhu. At night, late at night, he dozed off, and Radharani appeared to him in his dream and described where Krishnadas Kaviraj got this half a syllable thing that's now written in his book, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Here's the description. After the second period of night had passed, he began to doze off when suddenly Vrishabhanandini, Srimati Radhika, appeared to him. Didn't say she appeared in a dream. She appeared to him. She very affectionately said, "Oh, Vishwanath, oh, Hari Vallabha, do not lament. Whatever Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj has written is the absolute truth. By my grace, he knows all the inner sentiments of my heart. Do not maintain any doubt about his statements. The Kama Gayatri is a mantra to worship me and my beloved. We are revealed to the devotee by the syllables of this mantra. No one is capable of knowing us without my grace. The half syllable is described in the book known as, gives the name, it's in the library of Radhakund. After consulting this book, Krishnadas Kaviraj determined the actual identity of the Kama Gayatri. You should examine this book and then broadcast its meaning for the benefit of faithful persons. She then gave him an explanation of the Kama Gayatri and asked him to write a book. She, Radharani, asked Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur to write a book about Kama Gayatri. How elevated. Is your breath taken away like mine? How elevated. And so he did it. He went to the library, found the particular book, understood what Radharani had said, and wrote a full commentary on that Gayatri. It's a book, one of his books. Now, it says here the list, there's a handout. So this presentation that I made just now, it was part of this whole discussion on Madhurya Kandamani. That it's a nice topic, but there's no comment, there's no list. Here's the short list. 13 of his writings were commentaries. 3 of them he did when he was a teenager. 3 were original texts. Original work, 15. At Padyavali, Rupa Goswami had created a Padyavali, a vali, a vine of padyas, or nice statements. So he had his own, also his favorite statements. And I'm about to end. The Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas have composed the following verse in praise of his extraordinary work, which reads, "He who reveals the jewel of devotion to Vishwanath, the Lord of the universe, and thus expands the circle of bhakti, is a Chakravarti." Generally, this title is designates one who maintains a circle of influence. Chakravarti generally means a superior, or the emperor maintains his power over a vast circle. Here's another Vaishnava who wrote about Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur. He benedicted the whole world by writing the book Madhurya Kandamani. In reality, this is one of his compositions. In reality, Sri Krishna Chaitanya is the speaker of this book. He has spoken it through the mouth of Sri Chakravarti. Some people say that Sri Chakravarti is an incarnation of Sri Rupa Goswami. He is very expert in the art of describing extremely complex truths in an easily understandable manner. And it's true. Oh, ocean of mercy, Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur, I'm grateful, kindly reveal the mystery of your transcendental qualities in my heart. This is my prayer at your lotus feet. So amongst this Vaishnava scholars of his time, he is honored in this way, and I'm going to end because of time. I think I have to end. It's almost about 6 o'clock.
Huh? Keep going on. It's 10
minutes? Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to describe a little bit. You see on the screen here. When he was writing his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes it rained. It rains sometimes in Vrindavan, especially during the rainy season, it rains. But water would fall around him, but it wouldn't fall on the spot where he was writing. Ink didn't ruin, and the composition didn't get spoiled. On the bank of Radhakund, while residing there, he experienced the sweetness of the eternal pastimes of Sri Vrindavan. That's when he was writing the Bhagavatam commentary. It was at this time he wrote Shukha Vartani commentary on Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Ananda Vrindavan Champu is a retelling of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. He wrote a commentary on that while he was by the side of Radhakund. So let's go on. He, Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur, was a firm, triple firm proponent of Parakya Rasa. What does that mean? Swakiya means the marriage between Radha and Krishna, that the relationship between Radha and Krishna in marriage. Parakya is not in marriage. And he was a proponent of the teaching of Parakya. It was unpopular. And he did it anyways. Rupa Goswami was softer. So he didn't exactly compromise, but he didn't make a big deal about it. Vishwanath made a big deal about it. He made such a big deal about it. The Brahmins of the time, they decided to kill him. So he had a practice every day. He would go into a forested area and he would gather flowers for his deity. So the Brahmins, they knew his habit, where he would go, where he would get flowers. So they went at that particular place, they saw him, and as they approached from behind, suddenly they couldn't see him anymore. They just saw this young girl gathering flowers. And they spoke very sweetly to her. Have you seen this Vaishnav picking flowers? And her reply was, I am just a maid servant of Srimati Radharani, and I'm here to gather flowers for Radha. And her voice was so sweet, and the manner was so pleasant, that they were struck. And suddenly, the young girl turned, and it was Vishwanath. They fell at his feet. And they revealed their plan. We had come here to murder you. He said, yes, I know. By Radharani's mercy, I'm safe. It's a recorded historical event in Vrindavan during that particular period of time. There's a very nice story, and I'm going to end with this. There's a nice story of his deity. You see this photograph, very, very, very tiny deity, Gokulananda is the name of the deity. So the history is, there was a Brahmana in Mathura who worshipped this deity with lots of devotion. He had a dream. In his dream, the deity appeared to him and said, I want to be worshipped by Vishwanath. Take me to him. The deity instructed him in a dream. So he didn't know who Vishwanath was. He went to Vrindavan. He found who Vishwanath was, and he said, this deity is yours. The deity, he told me he wants to be worshipped by you. And Vishwanath said, I'm not qualified. I'm a mendicant. I don't have the means. I don't have the spiritual qualification. Thanks, but no thanks. So the Brahmin turned around and went back to Mathura. That very night, the deity again appeared in his dream to the Brahmana and said, take me again tomorrow. And the deity appeared in Vishwanath's dream and said, I want to be worshipped by you. Please say yes. So he accepted the worship of the deity. And he is such a personality that the deity of Gokulananda is very small, but on the altar where he made his residence when he was in Vrindavan town, it's filled with deities by many other acharyas, including Narottam Das Thakur's deity, the great grand spiritual master, a deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a Neem deity, nice deity. and many other deities without all the names and so forth because of time. But he was revered during his time by the Vaishnavas and by scholars, and those that didn't revere him, they learned the hard way. Like Rupa Kaviraj learned the hard way. So this is a little glorification. And when you go there, if you go to the temple where Gokulananda is, you'll find this very same Shila that was given by Chaitanya to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by a Brahmana in Puri who had gone to Vrindavan and brought back the Govardhan Shila. He worshipped it for 3 years, gave it to Raghunath Das Goswami, and it was passed on eventually to Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakura. It's on the altar. When you go to that place, you'll see a little kind of table, and ask them, they remove the cloth, and they'll show you the Shila that Lord Chaitanya, the Govardhan Shila that Lord Chaitanya worshipped. It's in this photograph here. And that's the disciplic succession through which it was passed. So it's a very auspicious day with many, many, many nice things. We didn't get to speak about all of them. Vasant Panchami and Raghunath Das Goswami a little bit, and Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakura. So we have to end, and it's time for prasadam, right? We've taken a couple of questions. I see one hand up right up front here.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for the beautiful class. Thank you. Question, Maharaj. What is going on in the Viswanatha Cakravarti's heart regarding the half a syllable thing? What was going on in Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakur's heart to the extent that he wants to commit past tense death?
It's just his intensity. To me, it's simple. He wants to know. You know, you and I may want to know. We're a little curious. But he's got an acumen like nobody else has. None of us have. And he has an intensity of, I want to know. Put those two together. And he has the highest respect for Vishwanath, for Krishnadas Kaviraj. Put those three together. And he's devastated. What's the use of my life if I can't understand my teacher? Put those three things together. That's what's in the background. And it's a pastime, in one sense. He felt that way in part because was inspired by the Lord of the Heart to feel that way. So Radharani could reveal to him what that meant, meaning of that phrase by Krishnadas Kaviraj means, and what's the meaning of the mantra. And she instructed him to write commentary on the mantra, to reveal Radharani and Krishna in the mantra. Read that commentary. It's like it's super elevated. Okay.
As a follow-up, Maharaj, what is the importance of Gayatri in relation to Bhakti? Because there are different Gayatris, it seems. What is the importance of Gayatri mantra? Because half a syllable, he took it so serious.
Aside from the half a syllable, the question is, what's the significance of Gayatri mantra? That's your question. Gayatri mantra is a very confidential mantra, as it's given confidentially, and is chanted confidentially. And it's for persons that have some quality or qualification to enter into confidential teachings. And the Gayatri mantra discloses truths about Krishna that are accessible only for those who are very qualified. No, my guess is There are many persons that have second initiation in ISKCON that don't have the full understanding of what that Gayatri mantra is. But they chant it regularly, faithfully, because by chanting Gayatri mantra faithfully, regularly, one may become qualified. And the purpose of the mantra is to help one become qualified and to reveal, as Radharani said, to reveal Radha and Krishna in the mantra. Now, can Radha and Krishna be revealed some other way? Of course. But it's a certain method for qualified people to have realization of Radha and Krishna. Okay?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, wonderful class. It's amazing. I was just thinking when I go to Viswanatha Swami Samadhi, and I always thought, where is the golden Shila? Because I always watched a Kathak this year. I'll go ask them, and you already clarified that. There's also Gunjmala, which Lord Chaitanya did. Was it also Radha Golokanam?
Yes.
Okay.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Viswanatha Cakravarti Thakura ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Bo.
Hare Krishna. We're so grateful. That's a wonderful class, it's a learning class from Viswanatha Thakur. And I think it always says, I was reading somewhere, remembering the Vaishnavas, the parents, the Tirobhav, the Vaibhav is a Sampada, and not remembering that is a Vipada. So we should always remember that. And Lord Maharaj explained so beautifully. Thank you so much for his coming and appreciating this wonderful wealth of knowledge. Hare Krishna. So, Srila Maharaj ki